Yo, what is good, everybody? What is good, yo? So, with My Hero Academia going in as it is, we are introduced to some new characters that, uh, they didn't seem really that cool until all of a sudden they get introduced at the very end, and you're kind of like, no, no, they aren't doing it. But can somebody please tell me why this feels like Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Granny Sama? Why? Why does it feel this way? um, Another thing that really gave me the impression of one of these big three being Orochimaru was just the preview alone. He like opened his eyes and looks at the class, and everybody just gets terrified of him. Um, the girl kind of seems like the healer slash like charismatic, cares about like a lot of people, or not even like care about them, but she notices all the different things about somebody to be able to maybe differentiate their powers and how they might be used, or just she just seems very observative. And then we got a guy who sneaks up on Deku by phasing through walls, phasing through the ground, all these different things just to see who he was. So if that doesn't sound like someone who could be the biggest pervert of all times, he could be the greatest pervert of the all times. I'm not saying he is one. I'm just saying he could become the best one. And I think that's something that I hope they touch upon with his character. Just seeing if people already think that of him, or maybe if the guy who uses all the balls to like stick around different things, maybe he'll get in on talking him, trying to talk him into using his power for bad. I don't know, but just when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, this guy puts Jiraiya to shame. Jiraiya would love this guy's ability. But they feel like the three Sanin from Naruto. And I don't know why, it like rubbed me kind of weird when I saw that. But other than that, everything was pretty cool. I honestly thought that they're kind of taking the house arrest thing really, really serious when it comes down to Deku and Bakugo. And I think the reason why the repercussions are so big on them is because of what Eraserhead had said previously on Dragon Ball Z. No, but what he said previously in the provisional test, where he believes that Bakugo and um, Bakugo and Deku are the most influential, or they're the most likely to have a lasting effect on people in their class, and because of that, they should be held at way higher, responsibility for what they did if they have that power to, say, have other people feel like they need to do it that the same way they did it, and end up, actually destroying one of each other. And that just means one less hero to be able to, participate. And not only that, it's not very heroic if there's somebody in the school that you are willing to fight with at full power just to prove a point to yourself and to him that, you're better. What if someone is in a dire situation, and because you two can't get along, you're going to let them perish because of your own inferiority, So they're getting held really heavy, and Deku being really the only person in the show to be able to show us how heavily he's being held back by just hearing all the little things that they learned from 1 days of class. He was freaking out that he would never be able to really catch up to them because of what they were learning, because of what was taught in just the first day of them being on house arrest. So, of course, Bakugo knows that, but he's just not in a position to actually show that it affects him. He's got to look as cool as possible, including since everybody's watching. So that kind of, ended up the way that was going to end up. It was always going to end up with him acting like he doesn't care about it or whatever you say. But mostly I really enjoyed just knowing that whoever we were going to hear from in the classes kind of was under they just couldn't tell Deku or Bakugo like anything that actually was happening in class. So I thought that was an interesting way of them holding those two accountable for so much and seemingly not letting them get away with any of it. It's like, oh, even the students, what they learn, even if it wasn't completely the right thing that they learned, they still couldn't even tell you that, And then Midoriya ends up showing back to class, and because he's there, Eraserhead elaborates more on just what they were talking about, because clearly he did it on purpose to make sure Deku or Bakugo didn't get a leg up, regardless of the students, whatever the students might have told them. So, really just interested now into why these big three are so good as they are, because as I saw, they're about to take on all of Class A, which, sure, they're probably going to be all separated into three groups, fighting all, like a handful of people fight this guy, a handful of people fight her, so forth. Which is still really cool in my opinion. I'm just happy they're giving us more reasoning behind, our characters pushing themselves. Sure, they have to, cover for All Might, and they want the place to be safe like when All Might was around. But that's kind of, that was kind of going to happen regardless in this world. So imagining that you think that you're the best because you're in a certain class, but then find out that there's people in your school that, outrank you completely, I think that should put much more of a fire underneath some of these characters, including someone like Bakugo, who probably going to go all out against the big three, unlike some people who might just try to chill back and just, do like an attack from the far. Bakugo is definitely going to get up in their face and personal, and I think he's going to maybe learn the most out of this whole ordeal that they're about to go through. Oh yeah, the cats are like down here, I think. But yeah, I honestly really wanted to talk about that first, because the next thing I'm going to talk about is very sad and pretty freaking dark for even this show's standards. Which is a show that we haven't seen any heroes take life. The only hero I think may have taken life is Endeavor, and that didn't even come up in a conversation in the news, which is something they could easily use against Endeavor, seeing how a lot of people already do not believe in him being the number one ranked hero. Why wouldn't they bring up, oh, there was that one time he accidentally killed somebody because he went overboard, or something along those lines could easily be said if he had done it. So seemingly the heroes never kill, right? So we get this backstory on one of the guys that were pretty prevalent and heavily shown and was talking the most, being the guy who can split himself into two people. And we just got like a taste of his life and a little bit of just why he does probably things the way he does them, or he acts the way he does, and just why his brain is so not all there as other people. And it's come to find out he split himself up a whole bunch, but after splitting himself a whole bunch, one of him, aka the real one, was pretty much putting himself on a pedestal like a king, because it is his ability. It's like Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto bringing out all these clones, and then they're feeding him, cleaning up behind him, all this different stuff. And then next thing you know, they tie him up, and they all want to be in that position. They all want to be king, and they end up straight up killing all of each other until there was one left, and that's the guy who we are watching tell the story, which he doesn't know if he's a real one or one of the clones. And in my mind, I was like, it shouldn't matter. But then when I thought about saying that, I felt guilty of not just feeling some of his pain through being like, oh well, it doesn't matter. I'm not the real me. I'm not the me that started out with this ability. Seeing how, it doesn't matter who is alive, as long as one of them alive, they can always use the ability. So that was pretty dark, man. And they showed like the room that they're in. It lasted for like more than a week and a half or something like that of just them going at each other pretty much. And I mean, yeah, that was pretty rough to find out about the guy, and it made me feel like there's definitely some good bad guys out there that are just going through it, and because they're going through it, they're not necessarily being looked at the right way because of what they've gone through. So I don't know. There's a lot to see with these villains, and it feels like that's where this arc is kind of going. Like, it feels like the villains are getting their necessary time on the screen again, with Dobby completely being the person to straight up kill on the actual screen of this show, burning alive multiple upon multiple people, villains that we didn't even see doing anything. And then someone new for both sides was kind of the other little nod that I noticed that they were doing with this week's episode of, okay, we gave you, this, and this. Now we want to give you some villains, like they gave us the big three. Now let's give you, a couple of villains. One villain's backstory that, this guy's nutty, kind of like Deadpool, but now we understand like where he's coming from. And then we got someone who shows up who we don't understand at all, just like the big three, Overhaul. We don't know anything about that guy, but he kind of reminds me of Dobby. He even has like the same ability, like seemingly anyway. He just like caught something on fire. Or the people who stole and knocked a hero out in the back of the head and talked trash about it like it was the coolest thing ever. They pretty much got destroyed by Overhaul, another villain who pretty much just didn't see what they were doing necessary for the world that they're creating or something along those lines. Very, very confused of, just what the villains are trying to get across. Sure, there's villains doing petty like deaths and stuff like that, but they're still, they still have like pretty sad stories just as everybody else. It's just maybe they don't have the necessary power to do bigger crimes and get away with it, and the people who we're watching really don't care for that at all. So My Hero is getting quite dark, and it is also telling us just how much more we don't know about the villain side of things, and if they keep getting into it, it's going to be hard to side with only the heroes always if we learn more and more that the villains are just people who are really hurting and need some people to, maybe just understand their story. But with that, everybody, I hope you guys have a good one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe if you did. If not, thanks for even clicking. It means a lot just for that. But regardless, I will be talking to you guys in the next one because I'll be grinding as much as possible really to get this channel a lot of content on it, so you guys can watch whenever, however. So hope you guys are looking forward to that and enjoy whatever I can get out to you as soon as possible. So with that, I will talk to you in the next one if you are a subscriber, or if you just choose to follow your boy. It would be greatly appreciated. So with that, take care, everybody.